and down the Keys, there are so many stories of destruction and goodwill. Tonight, an amazing GoPro rescue in the core of Hurricane Irma, and neighbors risking their lives to save others. In the middle of Hurricane Irma in Big Coppitt Key, two men heard a neighbor was trapped in the house next door and the roof was destroyed.
Oh no, I was preparing myself.
Alone and afraid, Rena Manja was preparing herself for death. Little did she know, two guys next door were coming for her. One put on a helmet for protection, the other pressed record on his GoPro.
As soon as I found out she was over there, I'm like, yeah, if she's stuck in there. I'm in a concrete house and she's in a wooden rickety house. I still have my roof, she doesn't, so like she's got to come out.
Crocodile hunter Chris Ginto's instincts kicked in and he made a run for it in the pouring rain. The wind howled as power lines above swayed and debris tossed around on the ground.
The weather, the wind, everything was horizontal. Leaves, branches, everything. It was loud.
But when they got to the house, they couldn't get in. The roof may have been tearing to pieces, but the door wouldn't open.
Oh, the roof came down inside. What's that? Mr. Manny, turn. Me break it down? She's got to come out of there, dude.
First I was scared. I screamed to God. Then I started to cry because I let my sister and my mom down and they were panicking before.
After 2 minutes of struggling outside to free Rena, they got in.
Come on. Let's go. Take your time. You got it. I got you. You're welcome.
My heart fell to the stomach, came back. That's for me cannot be because you know, I was already in a different place.
All I did was open a door. That's all I did. I mean, I don't want to be painted as one or anything like that. I just opened the door. We couldn't get the door open, so I just kicked it down and the end.
And Chris really couldn't say enough how much he does not feel like a hero. Of course, for Rena, she says she's absolutely grateful that he did what he did. She also says that after surviving all of that, she definitely looks at life a little bit differently. In the Keys, Jamie Garola, NBC6 News. Yeah, well, we all know that the Upper Keys didn't get it quite as bad as the folks here in the Lower Keys. Still up north, businesses took a hit, and they tell me, businesses like Robbie's in Islamorada tells me, they're not going to let a storm named Irma bring them down.
My family and I were coming over that first bridge for the first time. When you can see everything, we were a little nervous. We kind of got a little slower in the car. We were a little shaky.
Kaylin Reckwert helps run a family business that's a Florida Keys staple.
Yes, we are. We're a landmark, in my opinion. 1976, we opened. My grandfather, Robbie, and my dad started it. My dad was about 14, little baby. And so now we've just grown into what we are. And we just try to create something very unique.
Robbie's in Islamorada may be world famous for its tarpon feeding and water sports, but it's the family tradition of this generational business that attracts customers.
Our tarpon dock is our first priority to open due to having, you know, so many families just bored in town because not a lot is open. A lot of the activities have been affected by Irma, so we want something for people to do in this heartache.
Hurricane Irma has shut down Robbie's for 9 days while crews clean up, raking seaweed, removing damaged docks.
This is about where the water came up to.
And a constant reminder of the 5-foot storm surge that could have done much worse damage.
Our buildings are all here, every roof, every structure, so that makes our process much easier for us. Thank you, guys.
Also making things easier, strangers who randomly stopped to help right after the hurricane hit.
I had a very nice church group volunteer. They're Church by the Glades up in Coral Springs. They came down and had a big guys, 10 of them. They helped tremendously.
And it is going to take some work, but things are definitely starting to get back to normal here in the Keys. And speaking of, the first flight to Key West arrived earlier today. Coming up new at 6 o'clock, we'll talk to the passengers who are finally home, sweet home. Reporting live tonight in Key West, Jamie Garola, NBC6 News. Jawan, the boats behind me, they're okay. It's the boats all the way out there in the ocean, in the dark, hundreds of them that are in really bad shape. Even worse, sailboats that people live on are gone.
I don't know. I don't know where I'm staying tonight.
Christian Price just came back to Marathon after Hurricane Irma. The sailboat he lived in for 18 years, missing from the harbor.
It's 41 foot long on the hull, on the deck. And yeah, I've been living on this since 1999.
Christian's boat is one of hundreds whipped and tossed around by the Category 4 storm when it hit the Keys.
I came back, and now she's sitting in about 2 or 3 foot of water right now, shoved in the mangroves with about 10 to 15 boats behind me, shoved all the way in there.
And it's not just boats that are ending up in mangroves. Boats are also coming up on land, washing ashore. And in a lot of these instances, people either took their personal belongings away or they've been washed away from Irma.
In some cases, it's not a matter of being able to go into a house and look for, your valuables, pictures and stuff. Their boat's completely underwater.
Those same sentimental boats, the FWC says, are a hazard to other boaters and could be toxic in the water.
The problem with that is, of course, they're sitting on the bottom. Now we've got environmental hazards. Some of them have pollutants on board.
But some boats did make it. Lee Grant stayed on his 37-foot sailboat for Irma and lived to tell about it.
And the other two are frayed. One was frayed more than the other, but if that hurricane would have lasted any longer.
As for Christian, he's glad he didn't stay.
Lucky.
Stoked.
Lucky.
Why lucky?
Because I'm alive, and we found a couple of bodies out here and stuff, and I was smart enough, to leave my boat.
And Christian tells me that everybody in the harbor, all of his neighbors, they are a tight-knit community and they will see each other through this. Now, a few technical issues. As far as the FWC is concerned, boat owners are responsible for their own property. Also, they say if you are out and about and you find a boat, you are to report it to them. And they say if they find a boat, they will make every attempt to contact the owner. Reporting live tonight in Key Largo, Jamie Garola, NBC 6 News.
They spoke to Jamie Garola. He joins us live from Key West with their story. Jamie?
Yeah, Jackie, I haven't heard a hurricane survival story like this before. On a boat, in a hurricane, and stranded at sea. This video of rough water, crashing waves, and a violent sea was taken before things really got bad for Tom Schmidt and Mary Ray.
On a hurricane, you have 3 choices. You can either stay where you are, you can put your boat up in the hard, which means land, or you can run for it.
And when Tom and Mary ran for it, they took off west to the dry Tortugas, but their anchor slipped and they blew right into Irma's path toward Cuba.
You go into an emergency mode, survival mode. You don't get scared. You just cope with the situation and you do what you have to do.
It was an experience I've never had before.
We had water coming in the boat, waves coming in the boat, and taking on water, and rogue waves hitting the side of the boat that is like an earthquake that you're thinking, oh, it's going to crack.
Everything inside the boat tossed around. The last pic they were able to snap showed the wind at 91 knots, which is 115 miles per hour. But they say it maxed at 145 while staring down 15 to 30-foot waves. Then the weather subsided.
There was 2 days that we were just sitting there with no wind, like you're just frying practically with no water, and you're sipping cooler water.
With no power for electronics, guidance systems, or steering, they sailed for 3 days, stranded, until they finally found land.
And you just pray that you're going to make it back. And we have kids, and we just wanted to get back, and we made it. We made it. We did it.
You really survived Hurricane
Irma. Yeah, we really did.
And it really makes me wonder how many people have similar stories like that. And as you can imagine, the first thing they asked for and they went for when they got here to land was a glass of water. Reporting live tonight in Key West, Jamie Garola, NBC 6 News. It is a Sunday, and famous Duval Street could definitely be a little bit busier, but this is to be expected. It is a Sunday after all, and the Keys just reopened to tourism. It's only a matter of time before things get back to normal. Tonight, the economic engine of the Keys is running. On Duval Street, the heartbeat of Key West, businesses are open. drinks are pouring, and cash is ringing.
We definitely see a lot more traffic. I probably waited on more tourists this evening than I have done in the last week.
But locals still outnumber tourists.
Even some of the hotels, when we were looking, they were not open until the 30th, and so we weren't really sure that they'd be open right now.
Instead of Irma devastation, this is what the Monroe County Tourism Development Council wants visitors to see. Great views, sunny skies, and clear water. But admittedly, some areas are still rough around the edges.
This is going to be a really slow process. Okay, it's not like people are waiting at the top of the overseas highway to smash the floodgates and jump back in. So it's going to take a long time.
But in Isle Morada, businesses that are open have open arms. Robbie's and Bud and Mary's are both back up and running.
Oh, there's a lot of people. There's a lot more people than we expected, and we're super happy to see everyone having fun.
All these fishermen put their clients in hotels. All the people down here fishing with these guys are eating in their restaurants. They're all shopping in the stores. So it's all tied together. If you lose this, the rest of it's like dominoes.
The Keys has an economic impact of $2.7 million each year, and half of the people here work in tourism. So definitely a very important part of this area. In Key West, Jamie Garola, NBC6 News.
Now it's time to get out to Jamie Garola.
Yeah.
He's live in Tampa, and it's amazing, Jamie, because he started out in Key West, and then he did some stories here in Miami-Dade and in Broward County, and now he's in Tampa, and the storm is southeast of Tampa right now. Jamie, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here, guys. How are you?
Good. Describe what you're seeing and feeling right now.
Well, you know, I got to tell you, it comes in bursts, in and out. Right now, it's starting to rain really hard. Manny, let's go ahead and walk this way. You know, the good news is for this area, it's not a Category 4 or 5 or even a 3. I think it's a Category 2 now, or maybe even a 1. So it's going to be not as strong as they once thought. But as you can see, the wind is blowing really hard. The rain is coming down. Also, some palm fronds are starting to snap. Water is starting to build up on the road. Over here at the Hilton, a lot of people who had to leave their homes have come here. Also, professionals and media. Sorry, my contacts are coming out. But this is the situation here in Tampa. They were really concerned about that storm surge. They were worried because it was going to be over 8 feet. But it turns out now that because Irma has kind of gone a little bit more east, I believe, they're not expecting as big of a storm surge. But still, this storm is of big concerns. There are huge evacuations in the area. Also, most of the area is without power, even though you can still see the power on behind me. Jackie?